Welcome back to another episode of the Mom Founders Table. Today we are kicking off another series, and this series is for you. Everything I do and record is for you, but this series is really for you. And when I say you, I mean the woman behind all the titles. So over the next 3 weeks together, we are going to be talking about reclaiming your identity. It's so easy to lose yourself in the pursuit of greatness through your business, in the title that we wear as mom, in our relationships, in how we give and care for everyone around us. It is so easy to be disconnected from who we are, to not recognize what we even love anymore, to not be able to feel or enjoy what is right in front of us. And so over the next 3 weeks, we are going to be talking about how you can reclaim and find your identity again. Because the truth is that every time we evolve, whether that evolution is from having another child join our family, whether that evolution is in our business and the development that we have there, we have to reconnect with ourselves because we are ever evolving and ever changing. So I hope that you will take 15 to 20 minutes out of your busy day over the next 3 weeks to listen to these 3 episodes, because I promise you that if you do, you will be forever changed. I promise you that perspective shifts and things that you can implement into your day-to-day thinking and your life that will make you better, that will make your life better, that will bring more fulfillment and more success will happen as a result of you just taking this time to listen in. So our first episode today is all about how to get back what you have sacrificed for your business. Again, you have built something so successful and so extraordinary, but somewhere in the process, you lost yourself, right? To where if we were to ask ourselves, or if you were to meet somebody and they're like, oh, so tell me more about you, you would likely lead with the things outside of you. You would lead with what you do, what your business is. You would lead with your children. You would lead with things that are not you. And this is because you've lost yourself. And there's no shame around this because it's common. We all feel it. I've been there. But it's also one of the most important things that we can do. And the reason why we need to reclaim our identities and find ourselves again is because there is no external change that can occur, no amount of money or prosperity or material things that can make us feel connected in our lives. This is purely internal. And the great thing about this is because it's purely internal, it means you have complete control. So you've lost yourself. You've lost yourself in the pursuit of success. You've built something incredible. And now here you are standing and feeling like, I have built exactly what I thought I wanted. I have built something that has given me financial freedom, but maybe has trapped you at the same time. And so I actually have worked with so many women that have felt this way. And specifically, one of my clients who came to me, who her words were, this is working out for everybody but me. And she was so successful externally, but she had found that she was actually the most unhappy. And so you can actually listen to her podcast episode and her testimonial. That is my testimonial episode with Charisse. She is a multimillionaire and she has built something incredible. And we were able to find her happiness and reconnect her with her family. So a lot of times this happens, and this is where women come to me, where they realize their work has become their lives. They are operating and shifting things around and prioritizing the business first. right? And so I want to just first say again that there's no shame around this. If you're feeling any sort of guilt or shame of like, okay, I've done this, I have put everything, including myself, behind my work or my family or both, and I don't know who I am anymore, and I don't know how to find that, and I feel guilty for prioritizing my business over my family, for prioritizing and leading with my business. I want to first offer you a sense of relief in that you have done this with the best of intentions. You have done this to provide a life that maybe you didn't have, a childhood for your children that maybe you always wanted, the ability to not feel financially restricted. So you built it with the best of intentions. You built it with freedom and flexibility and happiness and joy in mind. And then the financial aspect took over. And that happens because, as I've spoken about so many times, our society is built for that. Our society doesn't reward happiness. Our society, you don't see billboards congratulating people on how fulfilled they feel. You see billboards congratulating people on how much money they made, how, any sort of external accomplishment, how they wrote a new book, how they served a certain amount of people, everything that we are rewarded for as women and as people is outside of us. And so it makes sense that we would naturally gravitate towards wanting to achieve in those areas. So when you think about losing yourself, understand that our society is built for you to lose yourself. And as a mother and an entrepreneur, this is one of the things that all of us experience. And so if you're holding guilt, if you're holding shame around it, if you feel like, what have I done? I want you to release that right now, because it will never serve you and it will never allow you to make the change that you need. And I also want to offer you some reassurance that it's not one or the other. External accomplishments, achievements when it comes to monetary things, when it comes to business success, when it comes to recognition and doing things outside of us, yes, we can have those things and do those things, and we should, because we are here for a bigger purpose and a bigger impact, and to touch and teach and lead people outside of ourselves. But we are supposed to also be connected with ourselves. So here are some problems that you may be experiencing as a result of not knowing who you are anymore. When somebody asks you about what really lights you up, what sort of things can you say outside of your business and your work? Do you have any sort of hobbies outside of your work? Are your social gatherings strictly for work? If you can't think about what really lights you up and excites you outside of new opportunities that are related to your business or your success, this is a key indicator that we need to find you again. If you have found yourself unable to think beyond the next deadline, if you have found yourself in a position where you cannot see the forest through the trees, where you are waking up and every day just going through the motions of checking the boxes of that day and working towards whatever initiatives or projects you have going on, and outside of that seems fuzzy, or there is very little happening outside of that, that tells us where your priorities currently lie. That tells us that the majority of your time and your energy is going towards and focused on the next launch, the next release, the next achievement, the next milestone, the next deadline. And then what sort of titles are you wearing? If I were to come up to you right now and say, "Who are you?" how would you answer? You would say, "I'm a business owner. I'm a mom. I'm a wife or a partner." These roles and these titles that we wear are a necessary part of our fulfillment. And that's why I'm really inviting you to think bigger, because one of the biggest problems that I see is that we have this belief that it's one or the other. We have this belief that it has to be personal fulfillment or professional fulfillment. We have this belief that if we choose one of those, that the other one suffers. And that's where our thinking has gone wrong. That's where we have to dig deeper into what our belief system is around these things, what the stories that we are telling ourselves, what the thoughts that we are thinking, right? So if you cannot find or think of anything outside of what you're currently experiencing, if you cannot get excited by or feel or have things that you're looking forward to outside of the business, then of course that is going to make up the majority of your identity. If you recognize yourself as a business owner, as a mom, and a partner or wife, and little to nothing outside of that, of course, that will become your identity. Because our identities are who we believe we are. Our identity is how we see ourselves. And we distort those lenses over time, changing them and altering them to make sure that we are perceived in the right way by everybody else. It becomes about being who we need to be in order to make everybody else happy. But you didn't build your business to lose yourself. That wasn't your intention when you started this. Your intention was to make a good living that could support you and your family and the lifestyle that you want. Your intention was to be able to fully live and experience life, to be able to travel, to be able to feel unrestricted financially. Your intention was to make a difference with your work by filling a gap, by solving a problem that you experienced or that you saw was happening in our world, that you raised your hand and said, "I want to change this." It would almost be easier to not let our businesses become our identity if we cared a little less. But women like you and me, we can't do that because it feels bigger than us. And it should be bigger than us. And we should also be people outside of our businesses. We should also deeply enjoy our lives outside of our business. So you didn't build this to lose yourself. You didn't build a business so that you could be chained to it. You didn't build a business for it to become your life. But what you've built has provided and also created loss. But what you've lost can also be reclaimed. What you've lost, we can also find again and find differently, as we should, because we evolve and change. The way that we reclaim our identity is by becoming more intentional. Intentional with our language, intentional with our choices, intentional to what we say yes to and what we say no to, intentional with the goals that we set, intentional with our conversations, intentional with our presence. I'm reading this book right now, and it's called Undistracted, I believe. It's by Bob Goff, I believe is his last name. And in the chapter I read this morning, he said this line, and I don't remember it verbatim, but essentially it was really struck me because it was proximity doesn't mean presence. And I think for so many of us business owners, we are physically there, and mentally somewhere else. I once had a client say to me that she felt guilty when she was working about how much she was working and spending time away from her family. And she felt guilty when she was with her family because there was always so much to do in the business. And isn't that the catch-22 that we find ourselves in consistently? But here's the thing, your success that you build externally doesn't mean anything if you don't feel alive and in love with your life right now. Because we get so caught up in thinking that once we hit a certain milestone or goal, that will be the thing that will allow us to exhale and lay back and relax and enjoy. But what if the answer is that we need to be building businesses that are following a life first alignment so that we have the financial abundance that provides the lifestyle that we want, while also being able to have the spaciousness, the margin, the peace of mind. That's why I'm so passionate about this work, because I feel like as someone who wasted 10 years of my life, I don't want people to get to the end of their days and look back and regret how much time they spent working and not with their families. I also don't want people to look back and feel like they didn't go after their dreams. And so my head has always been like, how do we do both? How can we do both? And that's why I built the Life First business method, because it's not about giving up your ambition. It's not about saying, well, if I'm going to be present in everything that I do, Kelsey, if I'm going to work less and spend more time with my family or more time for myself, if I'm going to pull back on my hours, that means my business is going to fail or fall, or I'm going to miss out on opportunities. Truthfully, this is so short-sighted, because it's not about giving up your ambition, and it's not about giving up your time with your family. It's making the conscious decision of, I will only participate in and say yes to things that are in alignment with the life that I want to have right now. Because too many of you are waiting to live. Too many of you are so far into the business that it feels like you can't dig yourself out to be able to feel again, to be able to truly enjoy again, to be able to sit and watch your children play without thinking about your email. It's not about giving up your ambition. It's about having space to enjoy instead of chasing the next thing, instead of every accomplishment that you make feeling nothing and moving on to the next one. So in order to get back what you have sacrificed to build what you have, I want you to answer these questions. So pause, grab a piece of paper. If you're driving, listening to this, come back to this. There's 3 questions that I want you to answer today and reflect on. The first question is, what part of yourself have you been missing? I want you to think back to the last time that you were fully present, the last time that you were calm, the last time you didn't feel rushed, the last time that everything didn't feel so heavy or urgent. Think back to that time. What were you doing? Think about children when they play Legos. They're just there and they're building something incredible, and they're not worried about everything that's happening around them. What is something that you once did or a part of you that you've been missing? Is it your joy? Is it your ability to smile? Is it your ability to find the silver linings in the moment? Is it the perspective, the positivity that you once had? Is it a hobby? Is it a place of enjoyment? Is it an environment? What is a part of yourself that you have been missing? The second question is, what is something you used to do just for fun that has disappeared? We feel like we're not allowed to have fun. We feel like our time should be spent only on our responsibilities. It feels like, I remember specifically feeling like that's a waste of time. That's what I would tell myself every time I was like, oh, I want to play piano again. I want to sing again. I want to be more heavily involved in music. It brings me so much happiness and joy. That feels like a waste of time. What a thought, right? That can detour us, that is underlying saying you don't deserve to be happy. But you do deserve to be happy. So what is something small or big? When is the last time you experienced something fun? What did you used to do for fun before your responsibilities got so heavy? Make a list of those things. And when was the last time you felt like yourself? Was it before business? Was it before babies? Was it before both? And what did that look like? This is the kind of work that I'm doing with my clients. When I say that I am the advisor for millionaire moms that helps get their lives back, this is what I mean. Building a life first business is possible. Building a business that feels whole and full and excelling in both your personal fulfillment and your professional success is exactly what I was put here to do. So if you find yourself in this spot, we'll drop the link for my clarity call below. You can book that. We can have a no pressure conversation about where you are, where you want to go, what you want to be feeling, how you want your business to run. And I can tell you exactly how I can help you get there. You don't have to keep sacrificing all of these things or pushing back your ability to live. You can live now. You can live better. You can live a more full and fulfilling life where you feel whole and complete. Because when you're creating and building and running your business from that place, everything gets better. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys next week. Next week, we're talking about breaking the business first mentality. So I mentioned here today all about how we are so tied to putting our business first and working our lives around our business. And so we're going to talk about how to break that mentality so that you can put your life first and still have a very successful business. I'll talk to you guys next week.